Hello gamers and welcome to some preview gameplay for SSD, the Space Station Designer, a game by Polar Motion and Slitherine. I haven't played it yet, so this is my very first impressions. As you can see, there will be mod support, preferences, you can change quite a bit, English, Spanish, German. So far, adjust some settings. I play on my laptop setup with an external 180p screen, so I hope everything works. And yeah, let's start with the tutorial. Tutorial hasn't been completed yet. There we go. Welcome to the first introductory tutorial of Space Station Designer. Space Station Designer is a construction and management game that puts you in charge of setting up and expanding a network of stations. In this tutorial, you'll learn the basics of the user interface. The module you see orbiting around the Earth is the core module. When starting a new campaign, you can choose from 3 different. Turn on the volume a tad. There we go. Each one of them with their own unique strengths. You can rotate. Let me check. Am I? Yeah, plugged in. Okay. You can rotate around the station by using any of the following 2 groups of keys or the left mouse button. Give it a try for a few seconds after closing this dialog. So WASD or left mouse button. You can move towards the station and away from it by using the mouse scroll wheel or the up and down arrows. In the top left area of the screen, you can find the tutorial tasks button. Click on it to display a panel with the tasks that need to be accomplished to conclude this tutorial. As you can see, the list of tasks is actually empty. This will change later in the tutorial though. Okay. The panel can be dragged around the screen, and by using the button in the top area, you can minimize the panel so that it only displays the first active task on the list. Yeah, this is an it too much. This is like a preview build, by the way. Try dragging the panel around the screen and then proceed to close it. Easy enough. The upper area of the screen features various stands. We'll learn more about them in the upcoming tutorials. Each turn in the game represents 1 month. Events can happen at any point throughout the month, but you can always skip to the end of the turn and review all the events that have happened during that period. There's one that too much. One that too many. By using the time controls in the upper area of the screen, you can control the flow of time. Please open the tutorial tasks window again. Pause the game by either pressing the spacebar or clicking the pause button to accomplish the first task required to complete this tutorial. You can review the station's stats in the left panel. Please click the arrow button to display the detailed view. Now hover over all the stats icons to get an idea of the various stats associated to the station. Cooling and electricity, mass, orbit control, altitude control, attitude control. Okay. Crew slots, storage space, altitude and altitude rate, supplies and raw materials in stock, waste units in stock. They need to be dispatched to Earth, and maintenance. Excellent. Now close the detailed view to complete the last task of this tutorial. Now resume the timer and close the tutorial task window, which I already did actually. Well done, this concludes the basic tutorial on the user interface. Please click the exit tutorial button below the time controls to return to the main menu and proceed to the next tutorial where we'll buy and install our first module. It's quite a lot to learn. Buy a docking ports 3 connectors module. In this tutorial you learn how to buy and install modules. There are multiple categories of module and they come in a wide range of shapes and sizes. Initially you only have a handful of modules at your disposal, but more become available as you start unlocking more advanced technologies from the research tree. We'll cover the concepts behind the research tree in the next tutorial. Open the tutorial tasks list and go through them in order. Buy a docking ports 3 connectors module. So where would I do that? Here. When acquiring modules, you can select one of the out of 3 contractors, each with their own unique strengths when it comes to price, build time, and quality, and mean service life and mean time between failures. For example, Cavantech Space Systems is expensive but delivers the modules straight away and with a high degree of quality. High quality modules have a higher service life, this one here, and mean time between failures, MTBF. The former means that it will take more time before they have to be refurbished. I guess there's a B missing. And the latter means that they experience failure less frequently. After delivering a module, the contractor gets experience points, which in turn allows them to level up. That's interesting. Contractors that level up become even better at their strengths. Select any contractor. Build time. Yeah, this won't come instant, but it's much cheaper. So let's get this one. This is a bit shitty. There's lots of stuff we can buy. Once the module becomes available, please install it. Okay, now we need to install it. So, keep timer to the next month. There we go. Please select the docking port to install the module. Purple, standard docking ports are for connecting space station modules, whereas green, universal docking ports are suitable for connecting both connecting modules and resupply spacecraft. Universal docking ports are scarce, so it's recommended to use standard ones when installing modules. Okay. Okay, I need to go with the mouse on it. Okay. I think purple was the... Which one was the... Resulting thrust vector? Interesting. Installing this? Oh, that's the universal one. Okay. So let's go to this one. It's actually good that, you have to turn it around and you get this notification warning here. And also you're forced to use the, you're forced to look around your space station at this step. I wonder if I could, change the position of the module. When installing a module, you can select the docking port used and change its rotation angle. There we go. How would I do that here? Yeah, but I can't have it face up, I think. Yeah. Okay, so let's do it like this. What's the difference between 3 and 1? And manually change the angle? Distance to center of mass. Interesting. Oh, nice. Let's do it like this. Oh, that's cool. 180. Nice. Okay, that's good. Here we go. Well done. Please exit the tutorial. Now we head on to research. Start the acquisition process of the manufacturing level 1 research technology. Please open the tutorial tasks panel. Okay. The acquisition of new technologies is conducted via the research tree, which can be accessed using the research tree button located in the right-hand side of the screen. Manufacturing level 1. There it is. Start researching. For 150 research points. Here we go. Well done. The research development process is now in progress, but note that it takes some time. You'll find how long this delay is on the technology card inside the research tree. In this case, we need to wait for 2 months until the technology is available. Use the time controls to skip forward to that point. The acquisition of the manufacturing level 1 research technology is complete. Continue playing. Buy and install 2 intermediate goods production module and ceramics production module. Intermediate goods production module. Okay. You can apparently buy 3 at the same time. I can filter. I think that was intermediate goods production model 2, I think it was. Let's double check. Yeah, intermediate goods model 2 medium. And let's go. It's a long build time. Here it would be nice. We are able to order more than one at the same time. Like have a quantity option. Maybe. Buy and install ceramics medium module. It's 12. Let's go for the yeah, let's go for this one. Let's skip a few months. What are the blue connectors? Oh, that's huge. And we lose stats here. 99, 73, 99, 84. Here. Oh, okay, it's a docking port. Let's go here. Station's orbit will become inadequate and its orbit will start decaying. That's obviously really bad. I think we need to do it anyway. Okay, look, now this goes up. Let's check what that stat was again. Attitude control. Okay, we've done that. The ceramics I want to put here. We need to change the port a bit. I also want to change the angle, 90 degree maybe. Okay, now let's go for 270, right? There we go. Well, let's say if you want to keep it even, actually, let's go for 180. This is obviously not good. Excellent. After installing these production modules, you may have noticed that the station is now red. It's experiencing an electricity and cooling deficit. Okay. It'll be fixed next. So this is the altitude, cooling and electricity. Cooling and electricity. Here we go. In this tutorial, you learn about the electricity and cooling game mechanic. The core module is almost self-sustainable. It contains all the required equipment to generate electricity and dissipate heat, but it requires a small amount of maintenance. But as the station expands, its electricity and cooling requirements start to increase. Similar to the previous tutorial, in this scenario, we have a station that could definitely use some electricity generators and heat dissipators. You can see the station is under an electricity and cooling deficit by looking at the stats panel on the left hand side. Here we see it. It is important to mention that stations in deficit stop all productive work until the situation is resolved. I actually like that this is kind of like grouped together, and then once that is bad, and then this turns bad, and then you open it and you can see the details. So please make sure you never get to this point when installing modules. Okay. Let's solve the deficit problem by installing more electricity generators and radiators. Okay. We have already acquired electricity generation level 1 and cooling level 1 research technologies. I just want to show modules like this. It would be good to just flick that around. I can, maybe like this. No. I really have to click everything. Maybe. What was it? Medium? Let's just go for the... Is there one that comes instant? No, so we can as well go for this one. $60 cooling, that should be more than enough. For a large solar panel as well. Astronaut Jason Fletcher is disappointed because the request to receive training. At least one special skill has been ignored. This has caused a moral drop. Yeah, not sure why this is included, but I guess I should have just gone for a faster option. We have people management as well. There we go. Let's turn that a bit. Could I even do something like 70 degree? I could. Nice. Well done. After installing the radiators and the solar panels, the station is now operational again. Please double-click on one of the production modules to reveal its information card. So these are my chemicals production module. Note that there are 4 icons in the row below the colored bar. The first 2 related to maintenance and will be covered in a future tutorial. The next 2 indicate whether the module is within the proximity of a cooling and an electricity module respectively. Within the proximity, interesting. Modules outside the proximity will not produce any output and will be more prone to failure. That's bad. Make sure that cooling and electricity modules are distributed evenly across the station to avoid any penalties. Okay, this is good to know. Double-click on each individual module to find out if they are within the area of influence of cooling electricity. Of a cooling electricity module is not fun when dealing with large stations. That's actually true. I like that they put a smiley in. We can quickly review the affected modules in the filters screen. Please open it by clicking the button with the looking glass icon in the top right corner of the screen. Okay, that's really good. Please spend some time familiarizing yourself with this screen. Note that you can use the EF keys as shortcuts to access the various filters. Cooling. All good. Electricity. Orbit stats. Maintenance, service life. Need the production lines. 4. Space tourism. Modules on the lease. Okay, this is nice. Note that you can open and access a filter directly from the station screen using an F key. Great, now close the filter screen again and please click Exit Tutorial. Storage, space and waste. In this tutorial we learn about an important concept, storage space. The station needs to have room to hold raw materials, manufactured goods, the supplies used to keep astronauts alive and the waste they generate on a monthly basis. We learn how to bring raw materials and supplies to the station and how to dispatch manufactured goods and waste to Earth in a subsequent tutorial. In this scenario we have a station with multiple astronauts living in the core module, and we're closing to running out of storage space because each of them generates 2 units of waste per month but only consumes 1 unit of supplies in the same period. The astronauts got there via the docked resupply spacecraft. Don't worry too much about it. We'll look into that in a later tutorial. Please advance the timer until we reach the following month. As you can see in the top right corner, a notification has been issued stating that we are approaching the limit of the storage capacity. Storage space warning. Much like when we are in electricity or cooling deficit, if we run out of storage space, the activity in the whole station comes to a halt. Go back to the station and advance the timer to the next month. Below 5%. Our station is in deficit. The station, okay, this is the storage capacity here as well. The station is now in storage deficit. Please open the tutorial tasks to complete the tasks. Acquire the storage level 1 research technology. Next day approaching. The acquisition of the storage level 1 research technology is now complete. And now install a storage module. Let's just go for a medium one. I like this company. Obviously now I should have gone for a faster one. I think I can only connect it here. Well done, this concludes the last tutorial of the basic concepts category. Does it really? It does not yet, so this needs to be changed as well. Till release, I think. Now orbit control, phase 1. There are 2 more. In this tutorial we learn about new concept, orbit control. The LEO station needs to be kept at a certain minimum altitude above the surface of the Earth. That's our station. Failing to do so will increase the amount of friction between the station and the Earth's atmosphere, which will slow down the station's orbital speed even further. This will cause the station's altitude to continue dropping until it eventually reaches the minimum altitude of 160 kilometers. At this point, the station will re-enter Earth's dense atmosphere and disintegrate, causing a catastrophic outcome. Note that this only applies to the LEO station, as stations in higher orbits operate outside while LEO probably means low Earth orbit. Okay, the others are outside the Earth's influence. We'll elaborate on this point at the end of this tutorial. The LEO station's altitude drop can be mitigated by firing thrusters on a regular basis. These thrusters are also known as propulsion modules and can be acquired by unlocking the various propulsion research technologies from the research tree. The core module already includes a propulsion system which is capable of supporting itself and a few extra modules. That being said, eventually you'll need to install more to keep the station's altitude under control. Note that propulsion modules cannot be installed anywhere though. Failing to provide adequate orbit control propulsion or installing propulsion modules in a suboptimal way can lead to a situation where the station thrusters can't counter the atmospheric drag. The orbit control configuration is assessed via the orbit control score represented by a percentage value. Like this one, I think. An orbit control score of 100% means that the station has enough propulsion to maintain its orbit. Anything below 100% will cause a progressive altitude drop until it reaches the minimum altitude, followed by its disintegration. Note that it's possible to have an orbit control score higher than 100%. In this case, the station has actually more propulsion than it needs for its current mass value. Good. A score of 100% or higher will cause the station to climb back to its optimal altitude of 460 kilometers. The details behind the calculation for the orbit control score value can be accessed via the filter screen. From this point onwards, we'll enable a proceed to next instructions button so that you can set the pace of the instructions for the remainder of this tutorial. This one here. Oh no, that's the maintenance level. This is the propulsion, right? Dude, where was it? This one, is it? Okay. Okay. Here we go. Please access the screen by either clicking the filters, or F3. As you can see here, the station center of mass, com, is at 0.00 or 000, and it's represented by a red sphere. The series of 3 numbers is the coordinate system defining the position of a point in space. Currently, the station center of mass is located right at the center of the core module, which happens to be the origin of our coordinate system, or 000, x, y, z. As we start adding modules, we notice that these values start to change. In this scenario, there's a single propulsion module, the core module, and its resulting thrust vector is pointing in a direction that matches the thrust direction vector shown in the diagram. This is the thrust direction. The orbit control score is calculated as the average between the two values, alignment efficiency and magnitude efficiency. Alignment efficiency is how aligned the resulting thrust vector is compared to the thrust direction vector. In this case, they are perfectly aligned and the score is 100%. Magnitude efficiency is how the magnitude of the resulting thrust vector compares against the station's mass. The magnitude efficiency reflects how well the amount of propulsion available to the station compares to its overall mass. In this case, the magnitude of the thrust vector is larger than the station's mass, and thus the score is greater than 100%. A score equal or greater than 100% allows the station to perform orbit control maneuvers in a reasonable time frame. The final orbit control score is 288.8 or 9 actually, which makes sense because the core module is self-sustainable while also featuring enough extra thrust support to the initial to support the initial expansion of the station. Now please close the filters panel. Let's load a new example station and analyze its orbital control score. In this scenario, we have a station that features an additional propulsion module pointing downwards or 90 degrees compared to the desired thrust direction. Please go to the orbit control section in the filter screen and use the proceed next button. Okay. Here it even says the thrust direction is bad. In this configuration, the inclusion of new models has shifted the center of mass away from 000. Here we can see it. The resulting thrust vector is the sum of the thrust provided by the core module and the propulsion module. And it's not enough. Since the propulsion module isn't pointing towards the desired thrust direction, the orbit control alignment score is lower than 100%. Yeah, this ultimately has an impact on the final orbit control score. Remember that installing propulsion modules is not enough. We also need to be mindful of the direction they are pointing. Makes sense. Please close the filters panel. Let's go ahead and load the third scenario for analysis. In this station, we have a propulsion module that is pointing in the desired thrust direction. Please press the F3 key to open the orbit control section in the filters panel. Oh, both the core module and the propulsion module are pointing in the thrust direction. Note that the resulting score note that the resulting thrust vector matches this direction. This is reflected in the orbit control alignment efficiency value, which is at 100%. Moreover, the resulting thrust vector is way higher than required. This has a positive impact on the orbit control magnitude efficiency, which is 262.2. Actually, here it says 3%. Please close the filters panel. As you can see, keeping a healthy orbit control is one, the combination of having enough propulsion to handle the overall mass of the station, and 2, ensuring that the propulsion modules are aligned to the required direction. Earlier in the tutorial, we mentioned that Earth's atmospheric drag only affects the LEO station. The GSO and L2 stations operate at an altitude of 35.786 kilometers and 1.5 million kilometers, respectively. That's probably lunar. When playing the campaign, there's no need to maintain an orbit control score in GSO and L2. What happens in the lunar orbit station? Well, that's a different story. I see, okay. The lunar orbit station is located at the Lagrange L1 point. This point isn't very perfectly stable because the Earth-Moon-Sun alignment constantly changes. The Moon revolves around the Earth. When managing the lunar orbit station, the goal is to keep the station as close to that point as possible. This can be achieved by keeping a healthy orbit control score. Failing to do this will increase the station's drifting rate from the L1 Lagrange point. When the station moves further away than 20 kilometers, it will become unavailable and no longer fit for purpose. And the astronauts die. To sum it up, make sure you keep a healthy orbit score for both the LEO and lunar orbit stations. In addition to providing enough thrust to keep the station at the right altitude, we'll need to have a reaction control system in place to maneuver the station away from dangerous situations such as nearby meteorites. This will be the topic of the next tutorial. Interesting. Okay. Outer space is a dangerous place. From time to time, our station's paths will go through patches of orbital debris. These patches of debris can potentially collide with our modules and damage them. In this tutorial, we learn how to prepare your station so that it can perform any debris avoidance maneuver efficiently. The maneuverability of the station is measured via the attitude control score, which is represented as a percentage. An attitude control score below 100% puts the station at risk of collision with other orbiting objects, and just like it happens with the orbit control score, it's possible to have an attitude control score above 100%. The score can be increased by installing thruster pods modules with attitude control capabilities. These pods feature a series of thrusters, also known as Reaction Control System or RCS, that allows them to fire across all three axes. By using the RCS, the station can be oriented in any given direction, which is useful for avoiding incoming debris. The core module, as expected, has a certain amount of attitude control capabilities, but as the station grows in size, you'll need to install more pods to keep it maneuverable. Please go to the Filters panel and select the Attitude Control stance. As you can see, the core, there are three modules contributing to the attitude control in this station. I wonder if I can, it's always centered at, the center of the station, which makes it in my resolution a bit hard to read, to zoom in really. And two thruster pods. The final attitude control score is computed as the sum of the contributions of the individual thruster pods. The individual scores are based on 1. The thrust capabilities of the pod, and 2. The distance from the pod to the station's center of mass. Note that a pod located further away from the center of mass will generate a higher lever arm and thus yield a higher score, so keep this in mind. Okay, that's cool. Let's close the Filters panel. We'll look at the consequences of not having enough attitude control in place in a future tutorial. One more thing before we wrapping up this tutorial. Note that propulsion modules can be relocated. Oh. This can be done by double-clicking on them and using the relocate button. But keep in mind that this operation reduces their service life as it requires burning some of their precious propellant. Interesting. We let you explore this mechanic on your own during the campaign. I wonder what happens, if a module like this one is end of service. Can we disconnect it? Do we have to drop everything that's connected with it? I don't know. Okay, next category will be astronauts. Recruit at least 4 astronauts. Astronauts are a key part of your company. They keep the station running, conduct a wide range of tasks, and when they are not in space, they can be assigned to various Earth facilities and provide operational bonuses. Interesting. Recruit an astronaut. Okay. In this short tutorial, we'll cover the hiring process for astronauts and learn about their various attributes. Please open the tutorial tasks panel. Click the astronauts button group at the astronaut hiring button. This screen shows 8 astronaut candidates. I like the abstract art style here. Astronauts have a wide range of attributes including age, autonomy, monthly salary and max rank. They also have 6 types of skills which are shown in the middle section of the card. We'll cover the meaning behind these 6 types of skills in future tutorials. Please hire the astronauts that fulfill the skills requirements listed in tutorial tasks. Remember that you can drag the tutorial task panel around and minimize it if it's obstructing your view. Oh yeah, I can reduce it. Okay, that's nice. Recruit an astronaut with an autonomy equal or higher than 13 months. This is the autonomy, I guess, yeah. Let's take Blanche. Look, I can even click through that here. That's cool. Intermediate good skill of 3 or higher. That would be Carlos. Now we just need to recruit 2 more. Who's cheap? They're all 200. Chemicals, who does research? The music is a bit like in like Transport Fever or Transport Tycoon. They're all not very good researchers. Pharmaceuticals. Let's go for her chemicals here. Well done. Astronauts can be hired anytime during 1998, but from 1999 onwards they can only be hired during recruitment seasons. Interesting. These seasons open every year and last for 3 months only, so make sure you plan your hirings accordingly. Okay, we learn how to level up our astronauts. Why does it say hire for? Can only be trained while they are on Earth. Please open the tutorial tasks window. One, two, I just hire anyone. No man available in 3, 4. Excellent. Manage astronauts. As you can see, the astronauts are going through their onboarding process, which will take a few months. Please go back to the station and advance the time till they become available. 3 months, okay. Okay, they have finished their onboarding. Note that there are 4 empty slots right on the astronaut. Yeah, here. This is where your astronaut's special skills are displayed. These special skills are domains of expertise in which the astronauts can specialize. You can browse these skills and their description by clicking one of the empty slots. We need maintenance. It says maintenance skill here, but actually I think there's a lot to learn here. I actually think it's advanced maintenance. Life support systems. Okay, maintenance was apparently incorrect here. Commercial goods. Huh. And research. It should be this one, right? Research and development. Oh, look at this. Is it this one, maybe? Commercial goods. Ah, I see. Research and maintenance. When an astronaut receives training in a non-special skill, their rank goes up by 1, which also increases their monthly salary. So be careful. Overtraining your astronauts is a guaranteed way to bankrupt your company. Good point. Note that once an astronaut reaches their max rank, they can no longer be sent to training. Also interesting. The max rank for an astronaut can be increased via the continuous improvement program in the Astronaut Underwater Simulation and Training Center Earth facility. Keep these learnings in mind, and as in future tutorials we'll understand how these various skills fit into the big picture. Okay, exit it. So how many tutorials are there in total? It's like 10, 12, 14, 17, 22, 25. Astronauts can only stay in space for a maximum number of months. Once they have reached this limit, they become unavailable and are not capable of producing any type of meaningful work. In this tutorial, we have a station staffed with 2 astronauts. Please go to the astronaut management screen. Note that one of the astronauts is going to reach the end of their autonomy period at the end of this month. This one here, Arthur. Please return to the station. Please return to... Okay, now he is unavailable for work. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do for this poor astronaut at the moment, but in a future tutorial we learn how to send them back to Earth. Oh. Let's now load a new scenario for morale. When astronauts are hired, their enthusiasm is at its peak. But as time goes by, their morale can start dropping unless we take good care of them. In this scenario, we have an astronaut that was hired in May 1998 when they flew. They then flew a 1-month mission to the station in July 1999, and they have been unassigned since then. More importantly, they haven't received any sort of training for nearly 2 years. We can check the current morale. Returned from a space station, flew to a space station and joined the company. Astronaut's moral level is represented by the bar below their portrait. 100%, good. However, this value will start dropping shortly since once we hit the 2-year anniversary of the last training date. You can view the details of the events that affected their morale by clicking the information button. This dialog shows you the various events that affected the morale of this astronaut. Please head back in advance until May 2000. By now, the morale level of our astronaut should have dropped slightly. And it has. Astronauts with low morale levels have a higher chance of leaving us. Let's get this slight morale impact resolved. Please send the astronaut to special skill training. Yeah, research and development. One thing that would be cool is to maybe have like see how far the training is as it was with the building or delivery of the modules. Well, then now look, go back to the screen. Okay. +5. As you can see, the morale has already gone up, and there's a new entry in the list stating the reason. Please return to the space station. It's interesting, this is +100, and then it's +20, +20, and it was 100, and then it went down. So it just can't go up more than 100. Remain stable when they are in space or assigned to an Earth facility. This concludes the last tutorial on the astronauts. Let's do a resupply craft in this tutorial, and then we are basically halfway through. In some of our previous tutorials we had astronauts who were already in the station, but we didn't explain the process of ferrying them up there. In this tutorial we learn how to request, set up and dispatch a resupply spacecraft. Please open the tutorial tasks list. The resupply spacecraft level 1 research technology is unlocked, it should be, by default in the research stream. Unlocked by default. Yeah, it unlocked by default. Please select the Request Resupply Spacecraft button, which is located under the Resupply Spacecraft button group on the right hand side of the screen. In the actual game there will be quite a few buttons here. This screen features 4 options: the cargo shuttle, the space shuttle. The cargo shuttle and the space shuttle are very large resupply spacecraft that are expensive to launch. Union is a crew and bidirectional resupply spacecraft. Since it's bidirectional, it can bring crews and supplies back to Earth. Vulcan is an uncrewed and unidirectional resupply craft. Unidirectional resupply spacecraft can go to the station but cannot re-enter the Earth. As such, its main use when dispatching one from the station is to remove waste. Okay. This is the launch manifest screen. In here you can specify how the resupply spacecraft will be filled. Please assign 2 astronauts to it, along with a minimum of 10 supply units. Okay, drag the astronauts there. I like that I can manually enter it here. So let's get 20. Can we do that? Yeah. Now select the request button. Go. Resupply spacecraft takes some time to prepare. This is what we call a launch campaign. Fast forward the time until the spacecraft is ready. Can we see our 12 months? Okay. That's quite a bit.
Launch control team reporting no technical issues and weather is green.
Oh, nice. Launch preparations. Final countdown preparations.
LCDR, this is the LD. You are go for launch.
3, 2, 1, and lift.
Oh, look, there we go.
Fixed program is in. Roll program is in.
It's sent. This is actually very atmospheric. Orbit insertion. Preparing for docking. Lots of rubbish.
Go for docking.
Now this is really cool with the radio chatter. A crewed resupply spacecraft has arrived at a LEO station. All astronauts will remain unassigned. Please assign them to duties. A bonus of 2 public reputation points has been granted. Well done. When a resupply spacecraft arrives at the station, all its cargo gets transferred and the newly arrived astronauts remain unassigned. I wonder what happens if I don't have enough space for the cargo. This concludes the tutorial. I think it would be good to be able to click, continue with the next tutorial as an option, for the release version. In the previous tutorial, we explained the process for bringing resupply spacecraft to the station. In this tutorial, we'll cover how to dispatch resupply spacecraft that are docked to the station back to Earth, and how to transfer them between stations. You may remember from the previous tutorials that incoming resupply spacecraft can only bring raw material supplies and astronauts from Earth. When getting outgoing resupply spacecraft, you can assign astronauts, waste, and the various types of commercial goods manufactured in the station. Please click the Dispatch Resupply Spacecraft button located on the right-hand side of the screen, and then select the only resupply craft. Okay, dispatch. In this screen you can specify how the resupply spacecraft will be filled. 3 astronauts, 20 units of ceramics, and then waste. I think we'll send them all, that's good. And the chemicals. Ceramics, sorry. And then waste. Space is 20, so I can put this. Okay, well done. Please note that all astronauts we are about to send to Earth are currently assigned to tasks, maintenance, research, etc. If we attempt to send them back to Earth as they are, we will see a message warning us about the fact that they will be removed from their current assignments. If you don't want to see the warning, make sure you manually unassign your astronauts before sending them back to Earth. Okay, it's fine to disregard the warning for this tutorial. Okay. Dispatch the docked Union M supply. Okay. As you can see, dispatching resupply spacecraft from station is quite straightforward. True. Please keep in mind that all resupply spacecraft have a maximum autonomy, which is the number of months they can stay docked to the station. If the resupply spacecraft remains docked past their maximum autonomy, it will be automatically ejected from the station and lost. Please make sure you always dispatch resupply spacecraft back to Earth before their autonomy period is due. In later stages of the game, we can establish stations in higher orbits. Resupply spacecraft can also be used to ferry goods or astronauts between stations. That's a transfer. However, these spacecraft are not all equally capable in terms of technical specifications. As an example, most of them can't make it to lunar orbit because doing so requires a lot of propellant and a reinforced heat shield. Spacecraft also need to refill their propellant tanks. This is facilitated by the refueling module, which consumes 1 unit of chemicals for each transfer. Let's load a new scenario and experiment a bit with resupply spacecraft transfers. Okay, we have the low Earth orbit and one in geosynchronous orbit. Interesting. The GSO station is currently out of raw materials, but we have plenty aboard the LEO station. It also needs a crew to perform routine maintenance, and luckily one of the astronauts at board LEO station is currently unassigned. Please click the transfer button in the resupply spacecraft options group and select the available resupply spacecraft. Destination. In this screen you can set the destination. Please assign the only unassigned astronaut and 40 units of raw material. Oh, that's supplies. Good job, the spacecraft is now ready for the transfer. Here we go. And they have been transferred. So no nice view here, nice animation or radio. Nice view from here. The spacecraft is now docked to the GSO station. Note that the astronaut and raw materials have been successfully transferred. Production line can resume their work. This concludes the last tutorial. Okay, so we've got quite a few more to go, but I'll do that in the next video. The preview is kind of timed. I try to finish everything before it expires. Yeah, keep your fingers crossed. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Until then, bye for now.